Namaste. Let's understand the concept of Kaya Vidya.
So the Kaya is referred to the body. Now, do remember that whenever we are in a yogic system, and referring to the Kaya is not just your physical body, okay? So the Kaya is referred to what we call the Panchkosa system. But simply for now, you can just think of your physical body, then you got your mind body, you got your energy body, and your conscious body. So we are talking about this living awareness, that we are aware or we are connected to our body, mind, and our breath. Now, in typical tantric Hatha Yoga, we have this concept of Kaya Vidya, and that follows a set of practices. And I was actually looking earlier to see how simply I can explain. So if you hold your fist, okay, simply if you got your fist and you start sort of think from the front, where my thumb is coming to my fingers, and if I start looking at that as like my prefrontal cortex brain, okay, and then I go down at the top of the brain and then I go backward into the lower brain, okay. So just think of it as a metaphorically. Now, what's magical about our brain starts from the front. So if you start from your thumb with your finger there, do you want me to come a bit closer maybe so you can see? So say from here, if I'm looking at this point from where my toes are being regulated by brain, okay? Now it's not literally as it is, I'm trying to simplify it so we get the point, because of course it's a bit more complex. If we start, your toes are being regulated from this point of your brain, from here towards like your front of your hairline, and then it goes backwards. So from your toes, then you're moving into your heel, your foot, your leg, and all the way down. So by the time we come to our head and face, it's actually controlled from the base of our brain. And it is really magical that our body is the opposite mirror into the brain. So the bottom part of your body, your toes, are controlled by the top of the brain, and then the top of the body limbs, your head movement, your facial movement, your chewing is actually controlled right at the back, the base of your brain. And when yogis understood it, so they're like, that means if I'm moving my leg, I'm actually using actively my prefrontal limbic part of the brain. If I'm moving my head, I'm using the lowest part of my the limbic brain as well as the fight flight brain. So that's the first thing, okay? So if I can work consciously, if I can integrate my movement of my body parts as well as my breath and my consciousness, I can re-stimulate all these different points of my brain. And that means I'm activating what I call our neuromuscular memory up again. And usually our neuromuscular memory sort of, it is, you can call it blocked, or you can call it we become insensitive, we become unaware. The reasons can be a chronic pain, can be stress, can be insecurity. So say like if my mind is constantly engaged in some sort of threat in my life, threat can be financial threat, it can be your relationship, it can be your job, threat can be, if people are going to take advantage of me. So whatever it is, then our mind or brain is constantly engaged into a point away from our day-to-day life activities. So in the tantric system, the idea is by using our limbic system, our legs, hands and head, and we make it into a complex movement, we are re-stimulating all these areas of the brain to re-enhance or to reactivate our body and our mind awareness. So you can think of it as a neuromuscular integration. You can think of it as a new brain coordination, or the simplest word I find in the modern the neuroscience or the modern medicine, we move from the neuropathy, disconnection, to neuroplasticity, connection or awareness. Now with that physical limbic or movement of your limbs and your body into the postural movement, think if you can also integrate your breath with it. Because of breath, either it is regulated by the fight flight, stress or relaxation response, our involuntary nervous system, or it is regulated by the peaceful events of life, which is then from the prefrontal cortex. So if I can integrate my movements of my limbs and my breath together, I am trying to override my conditioning of either my physical body or my brain, my nervous system or my mind, my psychology, to move from the fight flight, from disconnection, from pain, from neuropathy into connection, awareness, integration or neuroplasticity. And when you become connected to it, your body starts your healing mechanism. Because our body has the potential, like if you think of why do we take antibiotics? So antibiotics don't do the cure itself, is it? They stimulate the antibodies, they activate them, which are already in there. So let's go through. So we got the 2 sets of practices on that. So first we're going to do the Kaya Vidya. So in Kaya Vidya, there are 4 sets of practices. So we got one last week. Now we're going to go through the second one this week. And in Kaya Vidya, the idea is we put our body in a moving sequence on different positions or different postures where our body get to experience all different ways to hold the weight together as we do every day.